Hey, welcome to Screenplay Junkie. My name's Drew Hellmich, and I'm a screenwriter. Film is a pretty sweet medium of art. However, before anything can make it to the big screen, it must start as a blueprint, text on paper. So if you're a fellow addict of film and storytelling, come join us as we take a look at various types of screenplays, short stories, and other source material that were crucial to the creation of the stories that we all love. I must warn you, though, there will be spoilers, so I do recommend being familiar with the title that's being discussed. Sound good? Cool. Then let's get started. Hey, welcome back, fellow story addicts. Screenplay Junkie, episode number 20. Hellmich Brothers here, Drew, Matt, and Bryan. What's happening, fellas?
Hello, what's up, guys? Yeah, I'm practicing my saying hello in Hawaii. I'm currently on vacation in Hawaii right now. Back on the phone, taking some time off. It's good to be back, though.
Yeah, Matt here. I wish I was in Hawaii. I'm here in the suburbs of Chicago. Just keep my eyes on all the frontiers, just all three frontiers. Keep my eyes peeled. How's Hawaii?
Yeah, you're a liar, dude. What are you even talking about, man?
I'm liking the hills, man. It's a real hilly place. You know,
Hawaii's hilly?
Warm. Yeah.
Are there any oceans there?
I've yet to see one.
Well,
You have yet to see one? It's a freaking island, dude.
hey, you'll find one. You'll find one. Just
open your eyes.
look for Paul Rudd. He'll be giving surfing lessons. Yeah, just keep your eyes peeled. Look out for the frontiers.
I'm back in Iowa City finishing up the last second semester. Back on the phone again.
Today's episode is going to be a movie review edition. We're not going to be talking about a screenplay, just the film.
What?
And that film happens to be... What?
I was going to say, I read the whole screenplay. We're not even talking about it.
Yeah, the whole, 125 pages or whatever it must have been.
We wouldn't even be able to find it if we wanted to.
Probably
it's too
not.
New. This is too new of a movie. That's the downside to our show, I guess, is that we can't find brand new movie screenplays. But
it is kind of hard.
They'd be identical to the movie anyways, so...
Yeah. And that film is Triple Frontier, which is a Netflix original.
Triple Frontier.
And we had no idea about anything about this movie going into it.
Actually,
no idea.
I knew a little bit because my roommate and I, we watched the first 30 minutes before I came home on spring break. And then we slept till I had to go on my field trip and went home. So I caught the beginning.
Yeah, so you got one of the frontiers. You just got a little taste. You got one frontier. And then
They sprinkled.
And then yesterday you got to watch the other two frontiers.
So maybe I'm the only one that didn't know anything about this.
I knew one thing just because our father watched the movie and he revealed to me a key portion that happens at the end when we lose one of our characters. So I knew that going into the movie, so I was just waiting for it to happen the whole time. Like
we do say in the prologue, there will be spoilers, so you have 5 seconds to turn this episode off if you don't want to hear that. 5, 4, 3. Okay, you get the picture. Apparently this is popular, huh? This is a popular film?
It's the fourth most popular searched item on IMDb right now.
Which is ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, it's a new thing on Netflix. I mean,
it's
everybody,
new.
everyone has
trendy.
Netflix. Everyone has Netflix. Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
It's got Ben Affleck. I mean, come on.
Winona Ryder doesn't have Netflix, though, as we learned.
Right.
Did you know Ben Affleck, he founded Affleck?
Affleck.
Wow.
It used to just be called Ben Affleck. But they figured that was just too hard for a duck to say, so they just cut it to Affleck. Right. I'm glad you brought that up. That was good. Where are we? We're lost.
I have no idea, yeah.
Well, the runtime of this film is 2 hours and 5 minutes, and it's an experience, I'll say that. It is an experience, for sure.
It is.
Yeah, I mean, right now...
It was like an emotional roller coaster for me. I was like, oh, it's getting good. And then you go on that slow part of the roller coaster, and then I basically was on the Little Dragon ride.
I remember. I know which one you're talking about, yeah.
I'll just give a quick
That
take.
just goes in a circle.
quick take on the movie. Like, I agree. It starts off really strong. It's got a cool premise, but just overall kind of drags and wasn't really interested by the end of the movie. But we'll get into that stuff later.
Yeah.
Should we just go over like the facts on this one?
Yeah, let's hit us with some facts.
All right, so Triple Frontier was released on Netflix on March 13th, 2019. So we're within 2 weeks, so we're really new on this one.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and read the logline now. Loyalties are tested when 5 former Special Forces operatives reunite to steal a drug lord's fortune, unleashing a chain of unintended consequences.
All right.
I mean, yeah, there's all kinds of unintended consequences that went on, but
Yeah.
pretty unbelievable that Special Forces guys couldn't handle it or, like, foresee it. But, again, we'll get into the stupidity of this movie later. It was directed by J.C. Chandor, written by Mark Bowl and J.C. Chandor. It stars Ben Affleck as Tom Redfly Davis. Oscar Isaac plays Santiago Pope Garcia. Charlie Hunnam plays William Ironhead Miller. Garrett Hedlund, he just plays Ben Miller. Boring name, Ben Miller. And then Pedro Pascal plays Francisco Catfish Morales. I love how 4 out of the 5 guys have cool nicknames, and then the one guy who's the boxer, doesn't have a nickname.
Yeah, his nickname should just be like Fists or something. Hey, Fists.
Yeah, I mean, one guy's Iron Head.
Hey,
so
Knuckles.
He could just be Iron Fists.
Yeah, just Knuckles.
Knuckles.
F.E. Fist.
Knuckles. Shout out Johnny Sullivan. But here, let's keep going. Those 5 guys who are the, our elite soldiers. Those are the main guys in the movie. Everyone else is pretty much a no-name. We don't know how much the movie was made for.
Probably a lot. It looks like it would have had a big budget.
For
sure.
A good amount of explosions, so
right, and
that's expensive.
And plus, they know they're going to get the views on Netflix just because of the sheer amount of people that have Netflix.
Yeah.
So I'm sure the movie's been profitable.
I just want to add really quickly. I noticed during the opening credits that one of the producers for this film was Catherine Bigelow. If you're familiar with her, she was the director of The Hurt Locker, and she was married to James Cameron at one point in her life. So she's pretty powerful in the film industry.
And she produced it?
Yeah, she produced that, and she was involved with like Zero Dark 30. So she does these types of movies.
So that's how some of the action,
war-based movies, gotcha.
Some of the action was believable.
Yeah,
like we'll talk about it. We'll get to the plot points and we'll say what we liked. Do you guys want to hear some trivia on this one though?
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Sweet. So,
actually, no.
Yeah, no, we're not going to do trivia. Psych. So in 2010, Johnny Depp and Tom Hanks were supposed to star in this movie.
Oh my god!
But negotiations for the project fell through. Yeah, so this script's been bouncing around Hollywood for almost 10 years, and it finally got picked up by Netflix to be made into a movie. And it kind of makes sense why all these other people passed on it now that we, have seen the final product.
Have experienced it.
Exactly. So in April 2017, Paramount decided not to move forward with the project because they had starring in it, guess who? Tom Hardy and Channing Tatum. They both dropped out after disagreements with a script, okay? They didn't like the script, so they dropped out. And then Netflix picked up the movie. So it was supposed to come out in like 2018 under Paramount, actually in theaters, but then it was dropped, picked up by Netflix. Then Ben Affleck and Oscar Isaac take over as the lead roles.
Okay.
Other names that were attached, and then these guys dropped out, were Denzel Washington, Sean Penn, Leonardo DiCaprio, Will Smith, and Mark Wahlberg. All were tossed around to play the leads in this movie.
Why? That's just ridiculous, man.
For some reason, I guess producers, maybe it was just, who's the person you were just mentioning?
Catherine Bigelow?
I mean, having her with The Hurt Locker, that's an Oscar-winning movie.
Yeah.
Having your name attached to it maybe attracts these stars.
Maybe,
but
yeah.
It seems what I was finding is once they all read the script, they were out.
Yeah.
Get this, at one time, both Casey Affleck and Ben Affleck were supposed to star in the movie.
Whoa.
But then they actually dropped out together, and then Ben Affleck rejoined the picture. And if you didn't know, Triple Frontier, Tres Fronteras, it means, it means 3 frontiers, yeah. And it's the Spanish name for an area of the Amazon rainforest in the upper Amazon region of South America. It includes and is named for the tripoint where the borders of Brazil, Peru, and Colombia meet. The upper Amazon River flows through this area. So that's where the movie takes place. The movie never explained that at all whatsoever.
They didn't even mention anything.
I had to look it up.
I mean, even when they go to places, there isn't like a title card or like a little like.
No.
There's nothing that's put in there like, hey, this is where this is going on.
Either I missed it. I didn't even know where it took place.
Yeah, I was constantly asking through the movie, where the hell are they, and who the hell are they fighting?
Yeah, we'll get into that in the next section.
Just quickly, some trivia on some scenes that you guys will remember if you've watched the movie. The scene where the men are burning stacks of cash to keep warm.
That was real money.
You've seen that in Narcos Los Pepes on Netflix, and you've seen it in the movie Cliffhanger.
All right.
And last thing I have on the scenes in this movie is that the plot loosely kind of follows the plot of the original Ocean's 11, where members of a military unit, finding civilian life challenging, reunite to pull a heist. The heist is like successful, but then they're hunted down. One of them dies. Then they all give the money to the family of the guy that dies.
All right.
So, not that creative. But apparently this is based on a true story. I didn't look into that at all.
What?
I probably should have, but I didn't, so...
That's okay.
Yeah, mea culpa. That's all for trivia.
Right on.
Great. I liked that one. That was a good one.
Short.
God.
All right, so in this section, we're just going to chronologically run through major scenes that we want to talk about. And really, we're just going to talk about things that we liked, hated, thought were funny, etc.
Remember, all kinds of spoilers coming up.
Yep. So let's start with the opening scene. This is when Oscar Isaac's character is assisting with the Mexican police to raid a cartel-operated building. And you know what? I actually liked this opening. There was action. It was actually pretty cool. What did you guys think about it?
Brian, you want to go first? Go ahead.
Yeah, of course. I liked it a lot. Of course, the music, I was a huge fan. It just got like so badass. I was like, oh, hell yeah, war movie. They're going in. And yeah, just like a bunch of explosions and shootings. And really started off hot.
It was just like a very typical action beginning. That's what it felt like.
Mm-hmm.
It was cool. It was like related to the plot that like where the movie was headed, because the guys that the cops, were fueled by this drug dealer who he wanted to rob in the first place. It was kind of weird that he was cool with the cops, like just executing those guys. At the end, I thought it was a little sketchy, but overall, like all the action, it was awesome. Like the RPG going into the truck. When I love how the guys that were in the club just started playing the music when they were told to surrender. They just started bumping music, and then they blast the RPG, like I just said. And then it was funny how he killed everybody, though. Oscar Isaac. He just took them all out himself.
Yeah, he was up on a building.
Yeah, just grenade launches.
Noob tubing
them all. Call of Duty style.
I don't know how he managed to take out everybody or make the situation more calmer by doing that.
Yeah, somehow, he just throws a grenade in there, essentially, and then they all give up, the ones who survive, to be executed, though. Strange, but cool.
So now that the situation is calm, Isaacs and the police go in the building, like we said. They take some hostages, and one girl just gets away very easily. And as you start watching this film, your first way through, you're just like, well, that was simple. Where the hell is she going?
It was too easy.
Because she runs away, and then Oscar Isaacs is just like, I got her, don't worry. And I know you thought this part was funny specifically, Matt, because...
Yeah, I just love how when he's chasing after this girl that we find out later that she's the informant, right? So he's letting her get away regardless, but as he's chasing after her, the police guys on motorcycles are trying to assist him to capture the girl, and he does this hilarious like pointing gesture to signal the motorcycle guys where to go.
Yeah.
And I just cracked up so much watching it on screen. And the funny thing too is he was directing these guys in the wrong direction because he wanted her to get away.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
So it's like his purposely he was gassed running up the stairs.
Yeah. Dude, that's what I thought too, because the first time watching it, I was like, dude, this guy is so fit. There's no way he would lose her.
Right.
But we find out that it was just all planned.
Yeah, she's an informant.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we move on to meet Ben Affleck's character, and we start out meeting him, and he's a realtor. And he's actually a really, really bad realtor. It looks like he doesn't care at all about what he's doing. I mean, this specific house, he's like, oh, like, look, here's a nice view. And then they just cut to a shot of just a dumpster, like a dumpster that's overflowing with garbage. And then the sink is, like, broken and dripping.
Leaking, yeah.
Yeah.
And the people just want nothing to do with the house.
Yeah.
He's a total schlub of a realtor.
I mean, that part was pretty funny. And so this is how Oscar Isaacs meets up with Ben Affleck, because he's trying to recruit Affleck with this plan that he's putting together. And that's when we learn that Ben Affleck is a terrible father, because they're drinking beer in the car.
While driving the daughter to school. He's like, hey, you want a beer?
You want a PBR?
Yeah. The daughter was totally cool with it. Well, we don't know if she was cool with it because she just had her headphones on. She wasn't listening to anything they were saying in the car about killing people in a foreign country and stealing money.
Yeah, I mean, they had this like weird part of dialogue that was just like, oh yeah, she's just 15. She doesn't even know what we're talking about. And it's like, okay.
I just love how at the end of this, they drop her off at school and the daughter's like, Dad, like, I miss you. And he just goes, I love you. And then just leaves the country to get as far away from her as possible, even though she misses him. So I thought that was funny. Ben Affleck, Father of the Year.
So Ben Affleck is going with this plan. He's in. We still have yet to learn what the plan is exactly.
Right.
So now Isaacs and Affleck have to recruit the other members of their team, and we learn that they're all team members that they've worked with in the past. I just want to say about these characters, does anybody know their names? Because I was having a hard time like remembering who they were.
No, most definitely. I agree. Remember, I couldn't even list one name, even though we said it multiple times. They're not sticking at all.
Yeah, usually
Oscar, of course.
Reading a script helps like with names a lot, and that's what we usually do for the show. But going through the movie or watching the movie, it was hard. They definitely didn't say the names. They didn't have name tags, things like that. I'll read the names again real quick because I have them right here.
Yeah, and while we do that, let's just talk about who they are really quickly.
Yeah, cool.
Just like the very quick hitting things.
So Ben Affleck, he plays Red Fly Davis.
Yeah, and he's like the captain of the group.
Red Fly, cool nickname.
The leader.
Oscar Isaac is Santiago Pope Garcia. Pope.
Yeah, and he's still involved with the military as like
in Mexico. Or
as
wherever,
like
South America.
Yeah, doing stuff.
Charlie Hunnam, his name was William Ironhead Miller.
And he's like he gives like speeches to the military because he's a war veteran, and he gives like PTSD speeches essentially.
Right, and then the brother's character of Ironhead was Ben Miller, no nickname. This guy was the boxer.
Yeah, he's trying to be like an MMA fighter or something.
And then Pedro Pascal, the guy from Game of Thrones, he was Catfish Morales.
Yeah, and a pilot.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a pilot. So yeah, that's their crew.
5 ultimate badasses on paper.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that they all have in common is that they're all ex-soldiers, and they're all in different phases of their lives coping with not being involved in the military anymore.
Yep. And at this point, too, like I really like how the plot explores that these guys want to do this job because they feel like everything they've done for their country, they haven't gotten enough back.
Well, we haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah, right.
That's when they figure it out. Because I was going to say, because this was kind of confusing to really understand what's going on, because Isaacs gets there, he gets them to go there just because
For consulting.
Yeah, that's the reason he tells them, right?
Reconnaissance.
Okay. And then we later find out, or then they find out as well, that he wants them to help him infiltrate this infiltrate this cartel drug lord's house, kill him and take his money, because that he feels that they've all been taken advantage of with their military experience and haven't been paid for what kind of jobs that they do, which, I mean, that makes sense. I can understand that.
Right, and he argues that taking out this cartel leader would like provide a service to the community around it because he's a drug dealer.
Right. So these two motivations make some sense. They make sense as far as why people would want to go do this.
Yeah, those are the parts of the plot that hold weight, definitely.
Okay.
So first they scope the place, and this is when we found out another Father of the Year award, and what is that?
Right, so we see this drug lord's kids playing outside, right? They notice the kids, and then they find out that the kids go to church on Sundays, right? So that's when they're going to plan their hit, when they're actually going to rob them.
Yeah.
But while these kids are playing, Charlie Hunnam's character sees guys getting executed, and it's like a block away from where the kids are playing. So this drug lord guy is just having people executed while his kids are playing stickball, behind the church or whatever.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
No tennis today.
That's
Right, yeah, because the guys are being executed on the tennis courts. The tennis courts, they're just full of blood.
They can only play tennis on a bi-weekly schedule. the other days they're used for cleaning the tennis courts.
Right.
Only Wii tennis today. And after they've completed their reconnaissance, they schedule the raid, which the plan is only to kill Larea the drug lord and take his money, which I don't think they know the amount that they want to take.
They have no idea how much he even has.
Right. Whatever's available, they're just like, okay, we're going to take it. But
I think going into it, too, Oscar Isaac's character, the character who came up with the whole plan, like in the first place, he wanted to burn the whole place down from the get-go as well. Like, so the guy would have no money remaining that they couldn't take, which is what they did.
Okay.
And while they were doing the reconnaissance, they understand, and all of this information of finding the estate and getting information on Larea has been given to Isaacs by his informant, the woman who's the informant in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, she's a high-level person in this guy's, what do you call it, like just his organization.
Because she's still involved with it because
Right.
she drives vans and does whatever. So that she is their way in. And they find out that the best window in order to do this raid is on a Sunday at 6 a.m. because Larea's family goes to church at this time.
Right.
Larea stays back at the estate. Yeah, Larea stays back at the estate with his
never
money.
leaves.
Yeah. So the family's out, 6 a.m. Sunday. That's when they're going to do the raid. And while they're performing this raid, there are barely any guards. I counted maybe like 3.
It was very lightly guarded. It was odd for a criminal like badass drug lord. You'd think he'd have a lot more guards.
Yeah, there's no protection.
They're taking him out like silently pretty well, and then that one guy just gets shot in the leg.
Right.
There goes the position, boys.
It was odd too how like once they had found the money, and I know we were getting there, but once they had found the money, like no bad guys were there for like a stretch of 10 minutes. But then a bunch more just showed up randomly. It's like, well, where'd these guys come from?
Yeah.
And just during the whole money raid itself, they just all 4 of them, 5 of them, they all just became super greedy. They're just like, let's take all this money, let's break down this wall. Because, wait, have we gotten that point?
Yeah, Ben Affleck's like, a couple more loads, just a couple more loads of money.
Well, they find the money, and it's in the walls of this house.
Right. The guy every wall of his house is drywalled with money behind it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to talk about this for a second, the process of how they're doing this. So
It's a lot of work.
whether putting money in the wall or taking money out of the wall, you got to strip the drywall, and then once you're done, you got to put more drywall up. You got to paint it to look like, that it's a constructed area that makes sense.
I mean, filling out a deposit slip and a withdrawal slip at my bank is a pain in my ass, but it's a lot easier than repairing drywall constantly.
So, I mean, basically, these guys go to the local Home Depot and Lowe's a lot.
Membership cards.
Yeah. And so, yeah, like we've been saying, all the team members get greedy as hell because they're just finding loads of money, just more and more and more.
I'm going to buy a Ferrari.
Yeah. So they just want to keep taking as much money as possible. They're loading up bags, they're throwing it into a van, and every inch of this van is pretty much filled with bags. And the whole time while they're doing this process of taking the money out, throwing it in the van, nobody is on guard looking for incoming enemies.
At this point, I have here in my notes that at this point in the movie just becomes so unrealistic because they stop acting like special forces people and they just start acting like imbeciles, honestly.
Just amateurs, yeah.
Oh, we have time, we can get more money. It's like, what are you guys doing? Get out of there. Like, you had your objective and you completed it, now leave. Take the money and run.
Yeah.
Basically. But, I mean, it gets worse, though. Because now when we move on to the helicopter scene, because the pilot specifically says, hey, we have way too much weight going on here. The helicopter is not going to be able to carry all of this money over the Andes mountain range to get to the ocean where they can load it into a boat and then get away.
But then Ben Affleck tells him, oh, no, it'll make it. And he's like, okay, it'll make it.
Even though he did like a mathematical equation to understand how much weight that they were pulling.
Right. All of their training, all of their knowledge, all of their years of service as special forces people, forget about it. Let's just take all the money and connect it like a big ball sack at the bottom of the helicopter.
Dude, you don't need that knowledge. You don't need it.
That was goofy. I mean, it was just stupid. It was very dumb. And it obviously didn't work out for them. But as a viewer, right when they hopped into that plane with all the money, I was like, all right, they're going down.
Oh, of course. Absolutely. They brought it up, and it was just like, well, this is obvious how this is going to turn out. So,
and it made their journey much harder.
Yeah. So, I mean, the helicopter's smoking. It's the systems are down because the weight, right? Can't sustain it.
I want to say this, like this
Yeah.
first, like up to this point of the movie, it was kind of cool, right? Up until the raid, it was pretty cool. It was kind of like Sicario, and now we crash landed in the woods, and I just can't help but think about the movie Without a Paddle, because these guys are just like goofballs at this point, making dumb decisions. Oh, let's just carry all the money and walk through the forest. It'll be fine.
I know you guys all remember that movie, right?
You
Without a
gotta bring
Paddle.
Seth Green to this.
Yeah, exactly.
Seth Green, Matthew Lillard, and Dax Shepard.
Yeah.
Without a Paddle. Great movie.
Oh man, Sicario. That's probably how they pitched. Hey, Sicario meets Without a Paddle,
With Ben Affleck.
and they were like,
Frontier.
"Sign us up."
Triple Frontier. All right. All right, let's keep going.
So the helicopter crashes. One of the guys falls out of the helicopter. Looks like he's fallen like really high, but I mean they cut to him.
The
like,
boxer's character.
Yeah, they cut to him like falling, like it looks like only 2 feet, and he just bounces off the ground like it's a a waterbed or something.
It was hilarious.
Totally okay.
They made him seem like he was so high in the air, and then he just brushes off the ground.
Yeah,
And he would chase. He was chasing the helicopter, even though it was crashing. It's like, dude, get out of there! You might get hit by something.
Yeah, he was running at the rotors while they were spinning when the helicopter crashed.
and the helicopter crashes in a mountain village. The villagers, of course, are curious. What's going on? Why is this helicopter? Why did this helicopter crash in our field? What are all these bags here?
Pretty convenient that it just crashed in a village because, for the whole half hour before this, they were just walking through no man's land. It seemed like.
Yeah, seriously.
So very convenient that we landed in a village.
And it gets hostile here, where the villagers want to know who these military guys are, what their loyalty is. If they're DEA, if they're American, who the hell are they? And it gets really hostile. And eventually Ben Affleck pops a couple guys because they had weapons, and one of them drew a knife or something.
Mm-hmm. He got nervous.
Yeah.
Don't bring a knife to a gunfight.
He did what he had to do. In my opinion, they did what they had to do there. They paid him.
Yeah,
they paid the village.
situation.
It's okay. You can just murder people and pay for it. It's okay, Ben Affleck. No one in a soccer jersey is going to hunt you down. But actually, that's what happens in the movie.
Yeah, speaking of that soccer jersey, it turns out Ben Affleck, maybe we don't know, killed his dad, brother, uncle, cousin. I don't know.
Someone in the village of
Significant
importance
other.
who
We're
Ben
not
Affleck
gonna-
killed. Yeah.
Yeah, because at the end of the scene when they're leaving with mules that have their cash strapped to them, apparently 4 mules can carry all of the weight that one helicopter couldn't. I don't understand that.
And they're just going to walk all the money out.
Yeah, no big deal.
It's ridiculous at this point.
Yep.
But while they're leaving the village, like we were saying, there's one kid, and he presumably was related to the villagers, or is just pissed off that these guys just killed a couple of their villagers. So he wants to
Specifically at Ben Affleck. He wants revenge.
yeah,
And he gets
which
it.
which happens later on. Yep.
So remember that, yes. Then it's just a quick little snip of them traveling with the donkeys. They lose one.
Yeah, who knows how long they've been walking. But yeah, when they lost the donkey, that was sad.
Yeah.
That was sad. They lost the animal. But I really enjoyed the scene where the money was falling out. It just looked really cool, floating in the air, and getting all dispersed.
Mm-hmm.
A couple million
Yeah.
in the air.
Yeah, and then they're in the mountains, and the very consistent thing among them is that they're all just greedy, and they want to keep as much money as possible. And understandably, they're in the mountains and it's cold, and they need to survive with heat, right? One of them decides to start lighting $100 bills, loan $100 bills. Then he starts doing stacks. Then he just starts dumping out bags of it, right? Which
Suitcases, yeah.
earlier one of them was preaching, no, we can't have a fire. We need to sit here because then if someone's following us, they'll be able to see us because of the fire.
Yeah, or they'll find the trace of the fire and know we were here. when
or the
we leave.
trace, yeah.
No special forces guys would do that because it'd be completely compromising everything.
So exactly, their position gets compromised, and the
kid that was tracking them, as we find out in that soccer jersey
Yep.
from the village from before, he had a partner, and
Yeah.
they were sniping, I guess, right?
Yeah.
And everyone who knows who's seen the movie, Ben Affleck gets killed.
right.
Affleck.
He gets down and out.
He gets killed?
A special forces guy gets shot from behind. He gets snuck up on.
Yeah, and then they throw him in a bag, and Ben Affleck actually was like, I want to be in the bag. I'm a very method actor. I put myself in bags, and you need to drag me around.
Yeah, he's very hardworking. He's dedicated, and he probably had a lot of booze before hopping in that bag.
No one else could have pulled that body bag off better than him.
Oh, he's going to win an Academy Award for it. You can quote me right there.
It might be tough with the Netflix movie because the Academy kind of shuns the Netflix genre, but I mean, he's got my vote.
And I mean, that's pretty much it.
That was the only conflict they had after they got the money was just the stupid kid at the kids from the village and then the village itself. That's like it.
I mean, yeah, because then they're close to the ocean by this point,
right.
And
well, they dump the money.
Oh, you're right. They dump the money. So they dump the money into like a cavern or something.
Because they can't.
No, not a cavern, a canyon. Yeah.
It was just a hole in the ground.
Yeah, to save it for later or whatever, you know. So they take like $5 million with them.
Yep.
They go to their boat location, and while they're going to their boat location, they run into some random enemies. I don't know if they were cartel affiliated.
Yeah, so
who
strange.
knows who they were?
We don't know who they are.
But they looked like teenagers just driving around having a good time. That's what I thought they were.
Yeah, like people on spring break with AK-47s.
I found it so strange because they get in their like escape boat and they're having like gunfights with the guys on the beach, and they make it like halfway out, and then it all just stops.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like
okay, the guy's like, oh, they're too far out, like can't shoot.
Yeah, they're not having a sword fight; they're guns. You know, you can shoot people from very far away.
So it was just like, okay, all right, they're good now.
It was strange.
So the team gets away, and then we cut back to America, and they're in like a meeting room, and they're with a lawyer or somebody that's handling this money distribution to make sure they all get equal cuts, and so they would all be getting $1 million
essentially
around that area, and they all deny it. Well, I mean, Oscar Isaacs, who knows if he takes the money, but the other three specifically say, you know, hey, I don't want my cut. Like, give it to Ben Affleck and his family. And
yep.
that's basically the character arcs. That's what they learned from this entire journey, is that they wanted the money, and then it just took Ben Affleck to die, and then they're like, well, I don't want the money anymore.
Not all about the money.
And then Oscar Isaacs at the end, and he's looking at the coordinates, right?
Yeah, to go. He finds Charlie Hunnam's character gives him the coordinates to find the money. So part 2 is him going to find the money.
If they make it, well, we don't know.
They probably won't.
Do you guys want to take a look at some user reviews from IMDb?
Yeah, I'm down.
Yeah,
let's start with some really good reviews. Start positive. So this review was 10 out of 10, and all it says is this movie needs a sequel.
Okay. Well, okay. I know the sequel. I got the sequel right here.
Let's hear it.
Sure. So it's going to start out with Oscar Isaacs, and he's going to track down that girl that he sent to Australia. The girl who I'm referring to is
she has $3 million. Yeah.
The
$3 million.
Yeah, the girl I'm referring to is his informant, the one that was helping him get the information from the cartel.
Yeah, she had that creepy brother. Remember the creepy brother? Forget that guy.
So he's going to meet up with her. It's going to be a little romance in Australia for a little bit. Maybe
the brother, he's going to get lost.
Maybe they hang out with some kangaroos. Maybe they go to the Great Barrier Reef. I don't know. But then they're gonna recruit a team. They're gonna go back to the coordinates. They're gonna prep that.
They're gonna rappel down there.
Yeah. They're gonna prep that whole entire operation. And then once they get to the area, we're gonna build up. It's gonna be very suspenseful. They get down there, and all of a sudden, there's gonna be some creatures down there. So it's gonna turn into a horror. And these creatures actually want the money. They have a concept of currency. I don't know what they like to buy, but they're very materialistic. And people are just going to get massacred down there. Most of the guys, all the random soldiers that we don't know their names, they're all going to get killed. Oscar Isaac's going to survive. The girl's going to survive. Mostly towards the end, and then Oscar Isaac will die, and the girl will get away. That's the sequel.
Sounds
like
awesome.
Quadruple frontier.
Well, I hope that person who wrote that review likes your sequel that you just pitched.
I hope they can hear it.
I'll read 2 more good ones here. They're both 8 out of 10. So this one's an 8. And it says, entertaining but many holes and voids. They said that there should have been a shootout with, the real cartel because, instead there was just a car chase with, incompetent kids at the end. Like you were mentioning, Drew, the spring break kids that had AK-47s we were talking about.
Yeah.
That was pretty dumb, and this guy hated how Ben Affleck died.
Well, I mean, fair comments. Those are that person's comments.
Yeah, but they still gave it an 8 out of 10 though, so they very much enjoyed it.
They're good. That's good.
So this one's another 8 out of 10, and it says naked and raw. A simple but A simple but real story that's naked and raw. It's a good movie. It has good action scenes, team spirit, brotherhood, all of this with a perfect soundtrack, and of course, excellent acting.
All right, naked and raw.
Naked and raw person. All right.
Huge fan. They love it.
Brian, do you want to do the
Yeah. The shitty, where people were
the disappointing ones? Yeah.
The disappointing, yeah. So we got a whopping 5 out of 10 here. Great start. Then becomes unrealistic.
I agree with that.
I always think a movie's really bad when you think the whole time, what the fuck? That's just dumb. This is just one of those movies. I found myself, it's just like after some scenes or what things they said, what they did, it's just like, yeah, what the fuck? That's just dumb.
Exactly. I mean,
I can agree with that guy.
we've talked about that this whole episode, yeah.
And then we have a whopping 1 out of 10. This guy or girl was just not having it. Netflix doesn't get it again. Ben Affleck looked like he did the movie at gunpoint. And he says he wants tell Netflix to hire HBO people and how they should, because they know how to produce something good. Get the HBO crew over at Netflix.
But it's, I mean, the first comment is goofy.
I love that
funny.
take that Ben Affleck he acted at gunpoint, because he did look like he just wasn't trying at all.
Just very informative.
And Ben Affleck wasn't in great shape for this one.
No, he did not look like
That's what's great about
ready
reviews.
for combat.
Everyone's entitled to their opinion. Movie experience is everyone's own perspective. So, with that, what did you guys think? Let's hear your final thoughts and your quick review and a star rating that you have given for Triple Frontier. Who wants to kick it off?
You know, I wish this is mine. I was gonna have some brain busters for you, but this movie just busted it. Just fulfilled that time slot.
It busted your brain? Is that what you're saying?
Your brain is soup from this movie. Your brain has just become soup.
But action sweet. I like the explosions, but it derailed for me. Triple Frontier flop.
Yeah, triple flop.
So what's your what's your star rating then? If you're finished with
my
your
star rating.
Yeah,
2 out of 5. 2 out of 5.
2 out of 5. Okay.
You're gonna give it 2?
Hard 2
Okay.
out of 5.
2 out of 5. I'll go next. I mean, I love the premise of the movie. I like the idea of soldiers who think that they didn't get paid enough for being a soldier.
Sure.
Going and stealing without wearing the flag on their shoulder, right? Doing it without being associated with America. So I thought that was really cool. I think heist movies are really cool. This movie just didn't really do it well enough. You don't really care about the soldiers.
No.
You don't really care about the story. Like, it just seems like it started off great, then just derails. I think everyone who watches this movie probably thinks the same thing. It looks cool. I mean, Netflix spent a bunch of money making it, so I enjoyed a little bit of it, but overall, pretty much crap. I'm going to give it 1.5 stars.
Okay. With me, I mean, I'll just start off by saying, you've lost interest in something when you start to do other things. I'll start with that. In this case, like this movie, like as we endured this movie, it just became background noise, essentially. I mean, it looks pretty. It has some cool visuals and shots. Some action is cool, here and there. But
the actors are cool. Like, these guys have done other things that are really notable.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I mean, as this being an action movie in that genre, like there's just not much action here at all.
Right.
I mean, yeah, like I just thought this movie was dull. The writing is not coherent. I didn't like the characters, and I just didn't care for this movie really at all. I would never watch it again. So I agree with you, Matt, because I was hovering around like 1 to 2 stars. So
as we just beat this movie to a
I'll just meet in the half, and I'll go 1.5 as well.
Yeah, 1.5 stars.
Yeah, I mean, and I just want to say really quickly, like, I know sometimes on the show we bash stuff, those are our opinions, but we don't like to make fun of movies. We don't like to bash stuff. Like,
it's kind of fun.
It can be fun, but with like this specifically, like movies like this specifically, just kind of make me mad because they're big budget productions.
So many people watch them. That's what makes me mad.
Exactly.
Is that everyone that has Netflix probably watched this movie, and everyone feels the same when it's over. Like, it's like, oh, that wasn't even that good. But yet we all fucking watched it.
All the hype, it just gets lost.
I mean, yeah, that's the thing. Like with big budget movies like this, and good for them. That's their job. They need to make money doing what they're doing. But they put this kind of money in their pocket, and it's just like, for what, you know? That wasn't really that entertaining. That was nothing mind-blowing that made me like change my perspective on entertainment at all, you know? It was just a bunch of regurgitated stuff we've already seen.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I just argue glad it was a Netflix film and not in theaters and people spending $15 to see it.
That's true as well, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, we talked about earlier that this script had been floating around. Like, the idea for the story had been around Hollywood for almost 10 years. This was a perfect thing for Netflix to just pick up. It's like picking up your dog's shit in the lawn. You just pick it up and then you scoop it into the trash can. That's what Netflix did with this film. They just picked up the idea and then scooped it and threw it on their stream.
No, they threw it in the freezer.
Yeah. Well, then we all streamed it and then we all watched it. Thanks, Netflix. All right, so since we all know from listening to this episode that us three didn't really enjoy watching the movie Triple Frontier, we definitely want to do another episode next on a movie that we're going to enjoy. So we've decided that we're going to go ahead and read and watch it.
Yes, we are. I'm excited for this one.
Was that a drum roll? I thought you were just like typing something.
What is that?
No, it was a drum roll. I gave you a little drum roll.
Well, the drum roll sounds better on drums. Appreciate it, though. It coming up next week.
We'll see you next week.
No matter what platform you're using to listen to us, I just want it to be known that we're available on iTunes, Spreaker, and YouTube. So if you like our content, please be sure to follow all of our channels so you can stay in the loop with new episodes. Also, feel free to give us a rating and leave us comments, or send us an email at screenplayjunkie.show@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your feedback. Also, if you have any recommendations of screenplays we should read, movies we should watch, or really anything, let us know on any of our platforms. We're always looking for other things to check out. Thank you for listening. We hope you can join us next time.